Two South Yorkshire Police Constables, PC Charlotte Kaill and PC Bethany Fuller, have faced their misconduct hearings this week following two separate investigations by South Yorkshire Police Professional Standards Department. Both constables had been found guilty of deliberately and knowingly misusing police computer systems. South Yorkshire Police said that both officers had received training which clearly explained the secure record system called Connect should only ever be used for a lawful policing purpose. PC Kaill was flagged just 6 months after she joined the force as a probationary cop in July 2019, and the counter-corruption unit found a number of checks that she had made on the police systems relating to a relative. In that very same month, police had visited her house to arrest the relative, even though she herself had told the force she didn't know where he was as they had fallen out. She went on to misuse the system again on 5 separate occasions between August 2019 and September 2020, and even opened 4 court warrants, although it's not clear if those warrants were for the relative or for someone else. She is also said to have misused the computers yet again whilst off duty when she checked the relative's record after he had been arrested on suspicion of coercive and controlling behaviour and criminal damage, and carried out a search for the alleged victim. And yet again, during the same month, she continued to open her relative's police record an additional 7 times, and is said to have repeatedly looked into one specific case which involved allegations of stalking and assault. A relative sounds like a nice guy, doesn't he? Anyway, when she was interviewed over her conduct, she is said to have admitted a number of checks without a proper policing purpose. Her excuse was that she wanted to see what he had done so that she could reassure her mother, and said that she didn't pass on any of the information that she took from the files. PC Bethany Fuller, however, also misused police computer systems just 7 months after she joined as a probationary plot, which I think goes to show the level of the people being allowed into the police for the sake of inclusivity and diversity, in their attempts to not look discriminatory or misogynistic. As I've said before, I couldn't care less if the police were all men, all women, all black or all Chinese, providing they can do the bloody job. And it's clear that many of the people being hired to fill the gaps simply are not able to do the job. Fuller is said to have been looking into files that related to a domestic abuse investigation in which one of her relatives was named as the suspect while she was at home off duty. And there you go. Yet another major issue with the police. How the hell are off-duty police allowed to have access to police systems when they're supposed to be used only for a legitimate policing purpose? What legitimate policing purpose could anybody have on their day off? I've never been in a job that I have access to computers and also been allowed remote access whilst I'm off, unless I've been working from home. But this appears to be on people's days off while they're off duty. When Fuller was interviewed, she claimed that she had not done anything wrong and did not realise her relative would be on the police system. Chief Constable Lauren Poultney said regarding PC Kaill, "It is a particularly serious aspect of this matter that PC Kaill engaged in repeated acts of misconduct involving a number of individuals over a sustained period. She has repeatedly shown scant regard for the principle that sensitive and confidential data should only be accessed for a proper policing purpose. It is also significant that PC Kaill's computer misuse began very shortly towards the end of her tutor period, when she would have been under less intense supervision. In my judgment, the only appropriate outcome is one of dismissal without notice." In regards to now former PC Fuller, as she has already resigned, Chief Constable Poultney said, "Former PC Fuller was, I find on the evidence, well aware by virtue of her training that she was engaged in wrongdoing, and I do not accept her assertions to the contrary. In any event, it would be deeply troubling for former PC Fuller to deliberately and purposefully access sensitive police data regarding a close family member without a proper policing purpose and not consider that she had engaged in any misconduct. The public expect that sensitive data held by the police will be accessed and used only for proper policing purposes, and accessing such data improperly involves a fundamental breach of the public's trust in police officers. I mean, seriously, how stupid are the police when they allow people to access confidential information from home, especially police who are still in training? Surely, during training, probationary pods should only be allowed to use the police computer systems in the presence of their trainer. And their ID card that's used to access many of the systems should be left in the station when they are not working. I mean, that would prevent a lot of this misuse, but then I guess preventing computer access from home while off duty would affect the real criminals in the police forces from carrying out their covert activities, which in my opinion are the chief constables, inspectors and sergeants.